Hi folks, it's Switchback. If you're shopping for a backpacker or backcountry camper in your life, I have 25 suggestions here for under $25. And stay tuned for a few bonus suggestions at the end. Everything I talk about here is something that I personally own, and I would not suggest it if I did not feel comfortable suggesting it. Many backpackers like a CNOC bladder, and this is a 3-liter, and I have a 2-liter. This is $22.99. This is $24.99. Make sure that you know what filter they have, because there are two different fittings on these. This is the 28 millimeter, which works with the Sawyer filter, which I just realized has frozen, so I'm gonna have to replace it. But it does screw on like so. But if they have a Katadyn Be Free, that's a 42 millimeter. They're two different sizes. Like I said, the 28 is 42. So make sure that you know what filter they have before you go and buy them a bag. A tick key should be part of any first aid kit. And most of us are hiking somewhere along the way in tick country. A 3-pack of these is $18.99. And all you have to do to use this is put this part around the tick and then slide, and it pulls the tick out of the skin, which means that the person doesn't even have to touch the tick, which is great if they get squicked out by that kind of thing. There are a variety of different colors out there. You can buy a single one of these at REI as well. Few backpackers I know don't love them. Some Leukotape. This is a roll of it for $13.99. It does not come this warped, but it does get that way if you take it on a few backpacking trips. Don't recommend taking the whole pack. But anyway, this is great anytime that you have sore spots on your feet, for preventing blisters or for treating blisters. It sticks incredibly well, even with days and days on your feet in the same socks or when they're wet, anything like that. It will stick incredibly well. And I've even used it for repairs. Anytime that you're eating freeze-dried meals, it's a little bit of a ways to get in there. And so a Toke's long spoon makes it much easier. They're $9.95. And what's nice is your hand does not get dirty the same way that it would with a regular spork or a regular spoon. And I like the spoon rather than the spork, because a spork is both a terrible fork and a terrible spoon. Many tents these days don't come seam sealed, and even if they do, it does need to be repeated periodically. And so a seam sealer is super duper helpful to have. This runs $7.95. Mini Nalgene bottles have so many different uses out there. They come from 1 ounce up to 8 ounces, and I have every size in between. I use it a lot for olive oil because it doesn't leak very well or very easily, but it's still something I put inside of a Ziploc bag just in case. But I've used it for instant coffee and you can use it for all kinds of different things. And again, having different sizes makes it really nice and versatile. The price on those varies. Don't get them on Amazon. Usually they're way overpriced there, but like REI or any place like that will have them. Whether you're on a day hike or backpacking, having something to sit on that's not necessarily a rock or a log is really nice. I have had my Climate V-Seat for years. It is so nice just to be able to blow it up really quickly and have a little bit of cushion and maybe a little insulation from a rock. And it blows up and rolls up really quickly and easily. This is how it packs down. I do take this whether I'm backpacking or day hiking. And sometimes when I'm on a day hike, I'll just use an Amazon pouch to sit on. But if I'm cooking my meal, and I use that also for my insulator sleeve, for my meals, I want to have something else to sit on. And those run $17.99. Now, if the person in question is someone who wipes when they pee, they might want a Kula cloth. And these run $20 to $23. This is a female-owned, US-based company. They support LGBTQ rights, and they pay their artists for the designs. I love supporting a company like this, and I do not have an affiliate link for them. Maybe I'll get one soon. I've reached out to them, but I just love this company. And they have a lot of different fun little designs. I have like 8 or 10 of these. I use them at home even now, but they have a wet side, and then they have a waterproof barrier so your hand doesn't get wet. They snap up to keep things clean from rubbing against your backpack or other things. They have a reflective strip, so it makes it really easy to find them at night. I love these. And for that same person, if they want to be able to stand when they pee, a pee device is really nice. I personally love the pee style. It's $11.99. If I was buying a new one, I would be doing the recycled ocean plastic. I love that they have that. It's another company that I love supporting what they support. They have a lot of non-gender conforming and different physical abilities in their messaging and on their website. They also have a lot of different colors. So if someone wants bright or flashy colors versus more muted tones or even flesh tones, they have something for everyone. If this person likes coffee, there are tons of different coffees out there. I did a taste test, and you can watch that right up here, but these are the two that I found I like the most, the Mount Hagen and the Verve Sea Bright. But your person may not like instant, they might like a pour over or an AeroPress or different things, and so see what they like, and you can always give them that. I really value getting good sleep on the trail, and a pillow makes all the difference for me. This one came in a 2-pack for $21.99. They do pop occasionally, so having a second one is kind of nice. It was also nice when I took my son backpacking to have one for him. They do pack down pretty small, and they also are great for like between your knees. It's where the 2-pack is also nice if you're someone that likes to sleep with a pillow between their knees, or if the person that you're buying this for is a person who likes to sleep with a pillow between their knees. It's easy for gear to get damaged on the trail, and for a sleeping bag to get snagged, or for a tent to get a hole in it or something like that. And so tenacious tape is a wonderful thing that I've seen very few backpackers go without. I have the clear because it's versatile. You can use it for sleeping bags, quilts, tents, down jackets, sleeping pads also, all kinds of things. It's really, really handy. It sticks really well. It's like a pretty permanent fix. And a roll of that runs $5.95. This is my gas transfer device or fuel transfer device. This runs $19.80 right now. And this is a great thing for getting rid of those like half-empty canisters that people don't really want to haul around. I've even actually seen someone talk about doing them at a hiker box. And hiker boxes, if your loved one is someone who goes on a through hike or on a long section hike of a long hike or long trail like the Pacific Crest Trail or the Appalachian Trail or the Ice Age Trail or whatever, there are going to be hiker boxes periodically along the way. And those hiker boxes are where people have discarded things that they don't need anymore. So for example, if they have a gas can that's like 3/4 of the way used, they don't want to carry that last little bit with them. So having something like this, you can top off your own canister and use up the rest of that fuel canister, which is really nice. That can save you a lot of money. And that's part of why I bought this, because I had some really large canisters that I really didn't want to have to carry with me out on the trail that I bought a long time ago before I knew better. And this has been wonderful to have. There are a variety of them out on the market. They're all the same thing, just different brand name. And especially for the small weight penalty of this is a pretty cool thing for someone to carry on a through hike. I've only recently discovered Darn Tough socks, but they have been a game changer. They're awesome for me. They're $20 to $23. A couple of styles are more than that. But they have a lifetime warranty, which is wonderful. And there are a variety of styles, of course, thicknesses, heights, etc. Some of them are more brightly colored like these. Some of them are more muted. I even have ones with like a bear on it or a bunny or whatever. There's some different fun little things that they have. If someone's on an icy trail or icy area, it's important to have micro spikes. And Energetic Sky micro spikes run $19.61. I bought a pair of these last year. I love them. I'm really happy with them, and they have way more traction than my Yak Tracks. And they also stay on a lot better than my Yak Tracks. And so I finally bought a pair for Mountain Goat before a trip here to Utah. And it did snow a couple days ago. It's all obviously melted, but it's very cold, hence the gear here. But I found that these work really well. Again, they don't fall off very easily, which I have found is I've had my Yak Tracks come off during a hike, and that's really scary. And Yak Tracks also aren't as good with non-level ground. These do really well with uneven terrain. An important safety device that every hiker, whether a day hiker or overnight hiker, should be carrying is a whistle. And there are ones that come on the strap of your backpack, but this is significantly louder, and it's important that that sound carries. I got a 2-pack of these for $7.99, so Mountain Goat carries one and I carry one. And it has a little clip, so you can clip it on wherever. It also has the lanyard, obviously. I carry mine in my first aid kit. You'll want it somewhere where it's handy, but if that person needs to signal for help, it's 3 short blasts with the whistle. When it comes to dealing with insects like mosquitoes and ticks, having a good repellent makes a big difference. Ideally one that doesn't destroy your gear the way that DEET does. So I personally use Repel Oil of Lemon Eucalyptus, which runs $4.72 for a bottle. I've had really good experience with this. I've been using it for years, but I did a whole review of a bunch of different options up in this video right up here. The classic item for any hiker or backpacker to carry is a Victorinox Swiss Army knife. This runs $16.97. It's pretty tiny, as you can see. It's got scissors, which is great. These are great for the tenacious tape and the Leukotape that I showed you earlier. It's also got a nail file and a flathead screwdriver. And then, of course, a blade, a knife there. I don't really use that knife as my primary knife, but it has the toothpick and it has tweezers, which are great if you get a splinter or if you have a tick and you don't have a tick key. But you can also switch out different things. So like the toothpick is probably the least useful out of these, but there are different things that you can use that same hole for, which is really handy. If the camper in question uses a body pillow at home, an inflatable body pillow can be a great way to help make sure that they get good sleep. I have one that I got for $22.99. I like that I can inflate it or deflate it as much as I like. It's about 8 or 9 ounces, so there's a little bit of a weight penalty. But again, I really value quality sleep on the trail, and having a body pillow has been a game changer for me. This may not work for someone whose sleeping bag is really, really tight, or if their quilt system is really, really tight, and it can, I'm thinking probably, make it a little bit colder inside because it's just air filled. So that is something to think about. Like most items in a first aid kit, a tourniquet is something that you want to carry, but hopefully will never ever have to use. And so when you're looking for one for someone, make sure that it keeps good tension and that it's wide enough to not cause nerve damage. I got a 2-pack of these for $14.99, and there are a variety of different options out there. A pocket bellow is a great tool for getting your fire going or keeping it going. Mine, I got a 2-pack of them for $6.99, but there are a ton of them that come out there with a bunch of fire starting kits. Some great options. It packs down really small, but it helps you to get that oxygen directly into the base of the fire, which is where you really need it. It's hard to get in there a lot of the time with your face. It's also a lot safer to use a pocket bellow, but especially if you're building a fire at elevation, it's really nice to have this to keep it going. It's a lot harder to keep a fire going at elevation, and so a pocket bellow can really help make a difference with that. It's always nice to know what the temperature is wherever you are, and so a Thermodrop zipper pull thermometer is $22. It's a little tiny thermometer. It's just like a few grams, but it will tell you not only the current temperature, but the highest and the lowest temperatures. And so for me, for example, I was just testing out my quilts on this trip and wanted to know at what point I had to go from my 30-degree quilt to my 0-degree quilt. So I was able to keep my thermometer outside and see what the temperature was at that point. Now, anyone that's on the trail, whether a hiker or a trail runner, gets sometimes dirt, rocks, things like that inside of their shoes and their socks, and that's a great way to get blisters. And so Dirty Girl gaiters are a godsend on this one, and they start at $20, but they're are a ton of different styles of different patterns that they have. It's important to know what size shoes the person wears that you're getting them for. But they're really fun, or they can be really plain, like Mountain Goats are just navy blue, but it's another small company that's nice to support. And I've tried a bunch of different styles of gaiters. These have been what is most comfortable and most breathable for me. I started using electrolytes as a trail runner, but I've also learned the hard way that I need to use them as a backpacker. And out of all the different kinds that I've tried, Scratch Labs is what sits well for my stomach the best. You get a bag of it for $21.95, but they also sell individual packets of it. I like the lemon lime and the orange, but there are some different flavors out there. I really do like the flavor of it. It's not crazy sweet, which is kind of nice because you do get tired of sweet when you're out on the trail. And I can portion it out into little jewelry bags, which is what I've done, so that I can take a few different servings of it without having to get individual packets of it. If someone is out on the trail long enough to need to do a number 2 out on the trail, a couple different options. So if they have to pack it out, there's always a wag bag. Most people don't pack it out. Most people will bury it. And in that case, having a trowel is really handy. And so I have the Deuce of Spades number 2, and this runs $19.50, but there's also the 1 and the 3. You can figure out what you think is going to be the best one for this particular person. I found that the 2 was kind of the best happy medium of the strength and the durability versus the weight. Now, a few items that are slightly over budget, but 100% worth it. This is the Light Outdoors Guy Line and Stake Kit. I have used these stakes like crazy, and you can see that they're all pretty dirty, but you can also see that they're not bent, which is part of why I love them. Right over here, this is probably the most damaged of all of them. You can see it's not. But I really like that these are a Y shape, which means that they don't bend. They have a lot of strength to them. And then you put this side on the outside of the tent, and that's where the guy line attaches any of those. And there's also a little loop here to attach a guy line, which I was just thinking I will probably do, because what you do is you take a little piece of guy line, you put it through here, you make a little loop of it, and then you use a second stake when this is really stuck in the ground to pull it out, and you have a little bit more leverage. But I love these guy lines. I've attached them to my X-Mid, to my Half Dome, and I think, yes, and also to my River Country Trekker 2. And I still have lots of guy line here, but I really like that this is a bright color and it's reflective. It's also not stretchy, which is good because you can get you need that tension when it's really windy. You don't want lots of slack and movement on the line. And all of this together is $25.97. Most of us carry electronics when we're out on the trail, even if it's just a phone, but you know, a Garmin InReach for GPS, or a watch, or headphones, or I mean, there's all kinds of different things that we need to keep charged. And so having a power bank is really, really helpful. Most of them are pretty expensive. This is the Evotronic 20,000 milliamp hours for $27.99. And I found that this actually has more juice to it than my Anker 20,000 milliamp hour power bank. It is a little bit heavier and a little bit bulkier, but it's also half as expensive. And I really like that it has a digital display of how much charge it has left. It also has a USB-C output, which my Anker does not. So I can actually charge 3 different items on this at any given time. Now, if someone's been hiking all day and they're exhausted, or they have their kids with them or whatever, it's really nice to have a pump to inflate your sleeping pads and any other gear. And so I have the Flextail Gear Tiny Pump X, which runs $29.95, and it has lots of attachments for different kinds of sleeping pads and for different things that need to be inflated. And so I use it for the body pillow I mentioned earlier, for my sleeping pad, for Mountain Goat sleeping pad. It has lots of power, and it has a light, which is really nice. So like when I took my son backpacking, I could just hang it up in the top of our tent, and it was really nice to just kind of generally illuminate the tent. And it also works if you don't want to get a pocket bellow and you want to get some oxygen down to your fire. But you can also deflate your stuff with it, which makes it pack down smaller. I love that. And I even saw somebody commented about it, that they use it to blow like the leaves and such out of their tent, which I thought was pretty genius. You know who you are. So stay tuned for next week, when I'm going to talk about some higher budget items for gift ideas. And I have lots and lots of great suggestions for you. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff or comments, be sure to drop them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. I hope that this makes your gift shopping easier, and I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.